Good evening, Lake Orion. Welcome to this special occasion. I'm your host, Anthony Taorminas, and I am Between Taorminas. Yeah, that one. Now back
Is that intro shot when you guys were
Yes, indeed, Lake Orion. This is Between Taorminas on ONTV. I'm your host, Anthony Taorminas, accompanied by my brothers, Sammy and Ian Weatherspoon. And we've got two special guests with us today. We've got Mr. Ian Locke and we got Mr. Joe Johnson. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
doing okay?
I want to talk to you guys today about why we're doing this. It's a very important segment. One of our biggest fans, one of our biggest supporters, one of our biggest ambassadors to ONTV recently left us way too soon, Coach Kevin McCormick.
Yep.
I want you guys to share your thoughts about Coach McCormick, what he did for ONTV, what he did for Lake Orion, and what he's meant to Lake Orion and to ONTV. Ian, would you like to start off?
Sure. It's easy to talk about Kevin. Yeah, we miss him dearly, and we're still a bit raw about it because it was so sudden, and you know, can you really prepare for something like that? But this was so sudden, it's even hit us harder. Kevin was the perfect example of a resident taking full advantage of everything that ONTV has to offer here, right? He came off this street, said, hey, I always want to be a broadcaster, and his energy and his ideas and everything about him fit what we did here. Mm-hmm. And he was with us. We started his fifth year. This was his fifth year in 2018 with us.
Almost to the day.
Yeah.
He completed our classes in February, late February, and that was 5 years ago. And like you said, you know, he basically confided in us that when he was a young man, he considered broadcasting as a career, and life took him in a different direction. He joined the Army, got married, had kids, worked for General Motors. And when he got involved with us and we said, hey, would you like to do commentary on the sporting events? Do you want to host our sports update program? Would you like to be a reporter on our newscast? He was like, I've wanted to do this my whole life.
He never said no.
Yeah.
You know, and the cool thing too about Kevin is he was always thinking, how can you improve things? Like when to announce the sporting events, it's funny. He's like, hey man, I want to call football. We're like, well, football's kind of taken. You know, we've got guys that have been in place for, you know, almost a decade. You know, it's kind of taken. And he's like, okay. He goes, how about a sideline reporter? And we're like, okay. And then we figured out how to do it.
And that upped our game.
It did.
That added a level of professionalism.
Yep, it added a flair, the sprinkles on the cake, as we call it. You know, we already had a good production. It was, you know, watched by many, you know, around town and in surrounding areas. But then having a sideline reporter who knew what he was saying and could interact that well and talk off the top of his head, it is a talent. I mean, you guys all know how difficult it is to do, and he was fantastic.
Well, you and I talked about this a few days ago. He had to stay close to our field camera, you know, because we never knew when we had to turn to him and have him do a thing on the sidelines. And Kevin was very passionate about Dragons
That's
football.
an understatement.
And so, in addition to working the sideline camera, I was
you
shooting
guys.
video for news. And so I would, you know, I'd be recording for highlights for news. And when something good happened, Kevin would be standing right next to me, cheering his head off. But if something bad happened, I would have to turn to him and go, Kevin,
The
dude,
mic's on.
watch the language. He was so passionate, and I would always pick that up on video because he was standing right next to me.
You know, I remember a day where he coached football, where, of course, I'm wearing orange to honor Kevin McCormick because his favorite team was Tennessee.
Yeah, he's a graduate.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
But he was a Stony. He coached Lake Orion freshman football team, and it was a game against Stony Creek, and at their place. It was at their place, and we were not playing level of competition, and he let them have it. You know, he let them have it, and then the second half, they just played, dominated, and basically he said, "Where was that where was it, guys? I mean, like, you guys can be better than this, you know what I mean? But show it, show it, show it.
I would like to have seen him let him have it. Because knowing Kevin so well, you're like, what did it look like? It's like, hey guys, he was just so positive, but he can be intense and focused, and
he was a master motivator. One thing about Kevin was he was a master motivator. When one of his favorite games I remember was it was a couple years ago. We were at Clarkston. We won that game. It was 30-0, I believe it was.
Oh boy.
And Kevin was just so unbelievably proud of the kids that day. It was 30-0 at Clarkston, and it was like you would think that he that it was gonna be a close game, that Kevin was gonna be riled, but Kevin was as calm as can be, and he was just so proud that day. I think that's one of my favorite Kevin McCormick memories.
I love when he'd stop in here, whether to record a segment or whatever. He'd come in. I knew I'd be able to take a break from working a little bit and just chit-chat with him about sports. And he also was big into comics and collectibles and all sorts of stuff. So him and I had a lot in common. And as we were talking about sports and football and everything, 2 years ago I reached out to him and said, how'd you like to join our fantasy football league? And that's how we got involved with that. So we participated in that for 2 years. Did he place dead last this past year?
Yeah, he did.
He came in last this past year.
Never had a chance to rub it in.
That's right.
I know.
But I mean, when you think about, just the past couple of months, he took part in that. He took part in our food drive.
Basketball.
So many things. So
Basketball.
active.
Basketball.
And commentating with his son. Talk about that.
Yeah, that was great. So, having football being filled for the regular commentary, usually we had, who knew was going to, we don't know who was going to call a game week to week. We could have a high school kid, we could have an intern from Specs do it.
They could have me.
You could have you. It was all over the map. I fill in a couple times. We don't want that to happen again. But he finally said, hey, can I do basketball? Like, yes, absolutely. And then he's like, hey, my son's into this too. He's in broadcasting now, so transitioned to the high school. He said, could he sit in as a color commentator? I'm like, absolutely. And from then, it's been 2 straight years of those two guys hosting, basketball and doing a great job. And you talk about funny memories. I got a couple. The one with his son, they had a game that was canceled at the high school because the divider was busted. They couldn't move it out of the way. Nobody told us, of course.
Stony Creek game.
So we go get ready to set up all the cameras. I think 3 of the cameras were set up already, and then John Atwater, our old production coordinator, someone walks up and says, hey, the game's not here. And he's like, I wonder why it was so quiet. Anyway, it was over at the Cirque, so they roll over there, and the game's about ready to go, and we line them all up, and Kevin and his son just, without a miss on the beat, they sat down and started doing the game, and from the first half to the second half, his son's voice changed on the air. But it was great, because he's like calling the game, and then the second half, I'm like, that's not even the same guy. It was so, just little things like that. You get to know him so well that you notice little tidbits like that. And that's what I'll always have with him, and being able to call regional track.
Yep.
You were there,
Yep.
and 6 hours of live TV with him.
That was hard.
Him looking at me going, what were you thinking? And me going, I don't know.
There were times that I thought about it. I thought about you guys there.
It was just, it was great. It was a lot of positive, great memories.
And with him being on the sideline at the football games, there were some great moments this past season where his son would get a chance to play.
Yes.
And seeing the pride in Kevin watching his son
Absolutely.
on the field, it's just, that's a memory I'll never forget.
Also, Kevin won several awards for the at the ONTV at several ONTV events.
Yep.
Can you explain those?
Yeah, well, I mean, we keep track of all your guys' activity here for you guys over the years. I mean, moving on 6-7 years. I'm losing track now. 7 almost.
7.
It's so it's we keep track of everybody. And when Kevin came on the scene, it was he'd help out here. Then all of a sudden he was everywhere. And so he got a Volunteer of the Year award one year just because we knew we could add it up how many hours he helped us for that year. And last year, with all of the on-air stuff he did, now talking to you before we went on that he helped out in our election coverage. He was our remote live reporter interviewing Penny Schultz, during election night. So he did everything. And so we thought, hey, there's got to be an award for our announcers and our talent, and the Golden Mic was developed because of what he did, the impact he had as an announcer. We didn't have anybody like him. It was amazing. So that award will continue on in his memory. So
called the Kevin McCormick Award?
Well, we haven't decided on that yet, but we will mention Kevin, saying he was the catalyst for that award to be created.
How do you guys want to remember Coach McCormick? And I'll go in order, Sammy.
Great football coach, great announcer, one of the best in the business.
Yeah, he was a good friend, a true original, a friend to all. He really was.
Friend to all, and I'd say energy. The last time I saw Kevin was at the food drive, and as everyone here knows, that's a gauntlet of a day. And the last segment, I remember running camera for it, and just the energy he brought at the end of the day, for that event, just him jumping in, doing whatever was needed. So that energy, I'd say.
Yeah, great friend, parent, coach, and personality, and television host. He did it all well.
How I remember Coach McCormick, Kevin, is no one did it better in terms of helping mentor kids, announcing for ONTV, being there every day, being around his kids, mentoring his kids and multiple Lake Orion students. Also got to know that he mentored a lot of other kids from Pontiac as well. Just an all-around wonderful, amazing human being. And
Absolutely.
I mean, no one did it better. And that's how I'm going to remember Coach McCormick, is no one did it better. And he truly encouraged us to up our games at ONTV and at Lake Orion football and basketball games. And then there was times Sammy and I'd have to sneak him into the football games, and it was fun. Just an all-around, the fantasy football shows. And
that was fun.
Just watching those, it's like, wow. And, it was, I had that feeling, I wish that I could have worked or announced a game with Kevin. And just the, I was thinking about the Berkeley game, Lake Orion Berkeley game that was like in January. And I wanted to ask Kevin that, hey, could we do play-by-play, or could we announce that, because that CMN had released a tape of that game. It was like, maybe an idea. I should have recommended it. But, but just an all-around great guy. No one did it better. Wish we could have saw him sing, though.
That's right. I forgot.
The loser of fantasy football was supposed to sing karaoke.
I wonder who the second loser was.
Probably me. I was sweating it out that last week.
Maybe we need to all sing his favorite song or something.
Yeah, right.
We might have to, yeah. But thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Joe.
My pleasure.
All right, when we come back to Between Taorminas, we're going to talk about the NCAA tournament here on Between Taorminas on ONTV.
Lake Orion families are invited to hop on over to the Orion Center for the 2018 Bunny Bop on Saturday, March 24th, beginning at 10 a.m. Pose for a photo with the Easter Bunny, enjoy refreshments, create crafts, and take part in a hunt for Easter eggs filled with candy and other surprises. Children will be divided by age groups and are encouraged to bring their own basket. There are plenty of photo opportunities at the 2018 Bunny Bop. For more information, call 248-391-0304, extension 3500, or visit oriontownship.org.
Welcome back to Between Taorminas here on ONTV. I'm your host, Anthony Taormina. I'm with Sammy and Ian. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Hanging in there.
Segment.
Yes.
Very, very good first segment. I want to talk about the NCAA tournament. The brackets are out. What's your take about Michigan and Michigan State? Do they both have favorable draws, or do they have, or are they going bye-bye early?
Well, when I look at Michigan's draw, basically what they got is it's a nice draw, and I'm looking at the bracket right now. I mean, I still think they're going to have some issues. They should have no problem getting by Montana, but I think they're going to have big problems when they play Houston because Houston's a team.
San Diego State.
Houston's a team that I think could. I mean, they won the American Conference Championship.
Beat Cincy, right?
They beat Cincinnati. Yeah. They're a defense-first team. I mean, they have the players. I think it could tame Michigan, but I just think Michigan's too strong in that one. But either way, I mean, I still think Houston's going to give Michigan the greatest threat until they get to North Carolina. Of course, North Carolina did beat Michigan earlier in the year. But I think with Michigan right now, they're a tough out. I mean, the way they're playing right now, I think it's going to be a very tough chore for North Carolina. North Carolina's had some flaws with their defense, so it wouldn't surprise me if Michigan gets to the Final Four. It really wouldn't. Now, on Michigan State's case, of course, I think they're going to get by Bucknell in the first round. And
That's
I think
a big upset threat.
That's an upset trap right there, but I think they're going to win that because it's in Detroit, of course. Detroit, pretty close to East Lansing. There's going to be a lot of Spartan fans there. And then, of course, you have TCU, of course, depending if they play Arizona State and Syracuse. So,
no, they're two good teams.
And then, of course, when you get the Sweet 16, of course, you have Duke there, of course, Duke. But then again, you don't know what you're going to get with Duke because if you're going to get good Duke, you're going to get bad Duke. I mean, you basically look at
Tom Izzo always gets good Duke.
Yeah, he always gets good Duke, unfortunately, and then of course I know his record against Duke is not good, but watch out for Rhode Island. I mean, Rhode Island could give Duke problems because if Duke plays in that 2-3 zone, I think Rhode Island's going to shoot them. Rhode Island's got plenty of experience, and with their guard play, I think they're going to give Duke big problems. So when I look at the pathway between Michigan and Michigan State, I think they're both Final Four capable teams.
You think Michigan State's going to get by Duke and Kansas?
They'll get by Kansas. I think they're better than Kansas.
And then Michigan, if they get to the
They are
Elite
deeper
Eight, they
than
either play
Kansas.
Xavier or Cincinnati.
Well, I think Xavier could go down in the opening weekend. And the reason why I think that is it's a possibility is because Missouri has one of their players back. And, Michael Porter Jr. So when you look at Missouri, I think that Missouri, could give Xavier big problems. And I think they will give them problems if it is Missouri. If it's Florida State, I think Xavier's going to have an easy path to the Elite Eight.
Ian, what's your take?
I agree with your take on Michigan because when I look at the matchup, if it gets to North Carolina, they are an offensive-first team. Mm-hmm. Their offense is not, I wouldn't call it vintage North Carolina, but their defense is severely lacking. Mm-hmm. I think Michigan's got enough offensive firepower to get by a defense second team like North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So I could see them getting to the Final Four, especially with the way they ended their season. Beating Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament and then Purdue. And so they're riding on a high. Beeline, I think we all have to realize, he's a great basketball coach.
Now I have to.
I mean, he's done it year after year.
He's got the national championship game.
Continually outperforms expectations, which to me is one of the hallmarks of a great coach, when you can surpass your expectations. So I like saying Michigan will get to the Final Four, potentially. Michigan State, I don't see it. Ian Locke was in here before. We talked about it, and I agree. Their defense has gone away since 2018 started almost, and their guard play is not. It's not where it should be. You don't have a guy that can. I don't see Winston. I just don't see it. I just don't see it with State, unfortunately, because this is the year they needed to do it.
I think they're gonna figure this out. They're gonna figure it out. I really do.
You can't discredit Tom Izzo.
No,
and that's what he does.
You can't discredit Tom Izzo. The distractions they've gone through. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think they're gonna be fine.
He figures things out in March. Mm-hmm. That's for darn sure.
Well, I got a question to ask you guys. Upsets. Mm-hmm. Do you see any upsets?
Oh yes, plenty of upsets. Loyola Chicago is a very, very good team. They're a very scary team. I can see Loyola Chicago getting very far.
They got Miami.
They can upset the U.
I see that happening.
Wright State could upset Tennessee.
No.
South Dakota State could beat Ohio State.
That's what I like.
Well, yeah, there's an up team that I think I like South Dakota State to pull out the upset. I do like Loyola Chicago to pull out the upset against Miami. But there's one team that I'm really high on that I think could pull up. There's actually two of them. One is New Mexico State. New Mexico State's playing Clemson. I think that when you look at that side of the bracket, New Mexico State, I like how they're playing, ton of experience. I think they're not only going to make the next round, the second round, but I think they're going to make the Sweet 16. I think they're going to get by Auburn as well. So when you look at New Mexico State's a team I'm watching very carefully. And the other team I'm watching very carefully is, of course, is another 5 seed, which is Murray State. And I think Murray State could pull off the upset against West Virginia. West Virginia's got some problems. I mean, they are prone. I mean, Bob Huggins, there's a history here in West Virginia. They always collapse in the first round. So I'm going to say right now, if you want to pick in a tournament bracket, you're up 5-12 per big upsets. I would pick Murray State. I think Murray State pulls off one. I think that New Mexico State, sexy Sweet 16 pick, and whoever's playing Florida, I think they're getting upset. I mean, and then of course you got Loyola Chicago, as you mentioned, and of course, Ian, you mentioned, of course, South Dakota State. I think South Dakota State's going to pull off the upset against Ohio State. So I think there's going to be a lot of interesting upsets here in the early rounds.
What's your take about Kentucky and Arizona early?
Well, I mean, when you look at Kentucky, Arizona, when you look at that matchup, Kentucky got good by Davison, and Davison's not an easy game for Kentucky. So when you look at a possible Kentucky-Arizona clash, I think Arizona right now, I really like the freshman on that team. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at it, Davison's a team to watch out for. So don't cross your chicken hatches, okay? For sakes, okay? So so like that. So I'm saying,
don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah, so I'm saying Davison could get Kentucky here. So be careful.
Ian, what's your take on it?
I agree with Sam. Although, I know Cal is not happy about his seating, Coach Cal. I don't know. I'd like to see Kentucky go down.
I think Kentucky goes down.
I'd love to see him go down.
It wouldn't surprise me they go down.
Any final thoughts?
None for me.
Well, I will be talking to my good friend Joey, who's doing a podcast on talking about this subject, the NCAA tournament.
We'll be right back between Taorminas on ONTV. Hello, Lake Orion. It's Anthony Taormina, co-host of Between Taorminas. I want to let you know of a new show called History Now. In it, we're going to talk about global, national, and political events that occur in our lifetime. We're going to also have guests and also have co-hosts as well, and also plenty of surprises. Catch us on History Now here on ONTV. Hello, Oakland County. This is Sammy Taormina talking OAA Now. In it, we'll talk various stories ranging from the state to Oakland County teams affecting the OAA. Catch us here on OAA Now. Welcome back to Between Taorminas here on ONTV. We've got a little hodgepodge going on. All right, so let's talk about the Tigers spring training. What's your take?
Go get a bit. Titanic sinking on this team.
Ian?
I'm liking the Garden hire.
Yeah,
I like the Fazio hire.
I can't believe it. 2 years ago.
I just want to see development, and I don't think they have the pitching to do anything, but I think the lineup's going to be fine. So if they can get some surprise pitching performances, both from the starters and bullpen, because they kind of have a glut of starters. Might have some of those guys move to the pen.
Yep.
Like Norris is an interesting candidate to move to the pen. I think they could surprise, but it's all about pitching.
They could.
Lions.
Free agency starts today.
Yup.
None of the rumors I'm liking. DeMarco Murray?
No.
No thanks.
No.
Jonathan Stewart?
No.
Thank you. Richard Sherman?
Draft Saquon Barkley. Draft Saquon Barkley.
No.
Yes!
Why?
Yes!
Why?
Draft him. You need a running back.
You need a running back. You don't need to mortgage your entire future by trading up to the number 1 spot to get
Well,
this guy.
Cleveland at least made moves, so that made me happy.
Cleveland makes curious moves. I don't get any of them.
Wings done.
Yes.
They need to keep losing so they can
Okay.
draft.
Tiger
Numero
Woods.
uno.
Tiger Woods, second place. Is he back?
Yes. Yes, he's back.
In?
He's back.
I need to see more.
He's back.
I'm encouraged by what I've seen from him because he does provide excitement.
What about Stars, Avalanche, and will make playoffs?
Will the Stars make the playoffs?
Yes.
No.
I agree.
How many points
no.
are they out?
They're the first wild card.
First wild
Will
card.
the
First wild
Avalanche
card?
make the playoffs?
Yes.
Where
Yes.
are they at? I don't even know where they're at.
Second wild card
Second wild
spot.
card spot.
So,
What do we got? Like 15-ish games left?
Yep.
Something like that?
Yep.
good chance.
Oh, what else we got left?
Wings might make a real big push here.
Doubt
No.
it.
Just
Doubt
kidding. I hope not. I hope not.
Okay, so Oakland, tough run this year in the Horizon League tournament, not making it, not participating in the CBI or CIT. Good move to wait for next year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Get healthy.
Get healthy.
Get the band back together.
Get the band back together. Yep. You lose some great
back
players.
fresh with
Yep.
some
You lose some
motivation.
great players. Yep.
Detroit Mercy, are they getting a new coach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would hope so.
I hope so, too.
So we all agree on that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Ooh.
I'm excited about some things.
Why?
Even though this has been probably the most depressing collective Detroit sports time period, where the Pistons, awful. Red Wings,
Awful.
Tigers,
Awful. Lions, awful.
mediocre.
Mediocre.
But what decade can you go back to where it's like nothing? There's no hope for any of our teams.
There is no hope.
At least there was hope for the Wings in the past. Before that, the Pistons. The
You know
Tigers
what?
were contending.
You know what? I'm thinking Star Wars here. I'm thinking Star Wars. Like Leia Organa talking to R2-D2 saying, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope."
Matt
There's-
Patricia is our only hope right now
No,
for
he's
Detroit
not.
sports fans.
No, he's not.
I'm putting all my eggs
No,
in
he's
that.
not.
For this
They're only
episode
up.
of
No, he's
Between
not.
Thursday and Friday.
Mike Earnhardt should be your hope.
They don't have